So, this is the new normal. The new normal means tearing down anything that used to be our old way of life. Thank you for tuning in to Hard News TV4. I'm your host, Terry Lynn, and this is the channel where truth is like archaeology, and every day we're digging for it. Today is January 3rd, 2021, and this first article is from January 1st, first day of the 2021. A journalist, the people that fact check us. I want to find an anti-masker and beat them to death. You effing Christians are what Jesus condemns. You effing Christians who preen about God saving you from COVID so you don't need masks. You're what Jesus condemns. You'll burn in hell. Well, this just supports Scripture. John 16:2 says, Yea, the time is coming that whoever kills you will think that they are doing a service to God. So here's this liberal journalist who's saying he wants to beat you to death. I can give him my address. We can get in a free-for-all in my front yard. I want to see him try to beat me to death because I won't wear a mask. He's funny. He's delusional. I need to find out what time he goes to sleep because he is dreaming. Let's go on to the next article. So this is article number 2. So when I was in Louisiana, I heard about this young Louisiana congressman that got elected to Congress, who hasn't even been sworn in yet for the U.S. congressman. He had not gotten sworn in yet. 4 days ago, he died on December 29th. He had a heart attack following a procedure related to the COVID. Okay? And by the way, he was a Republican, and he hadn't even got sworn in yet. Okay? Well, look at 2A. 3 days after Republican Luke LETLOW died, a Republican Virginia state senator dies due to COVID-19 complications. Republican Virginia State Senator Ben Chafin Jr. has died from COVID-19 complications, his office announced in a statement. So Luke LETLOW died December 29th. On January 1st, the Virginia State Senator died. And January 2nd, another Republican House member has died at 42 years old. Let's see. And his is an apparent brain aneurysm, but guess what he had a few weeks ago? He died of a brain aneurysm, but look at this. According to Jamestown, Pennsylvania-based newspaper, the Tribune Democrat, Reese contracted the virus in early December, saying in a statement at the time that his symptoms were mild. I recently learned that I have tested positive for the virus, Reese said on December 7th. I have been quarantining for the last week, awaiting my test results. With the positive test, will remain in quarantining until I have recovered. I am grateful to report my symptoms were mild and are subsiding. I'm feeling better as each day passes. So, Luke LETLOW died of a heart attack and complications from the virus. He was a Republican. And Virginia State Senator dies of the virus. And the Republican Pennsylvania representative dies from a brain aneurysm after he had the COVID. But don't call me paranoid. We've covered the CIA suicide gun, the way the government can get to people. And let's look at 2 interesting articles. I'm still going to leave this under the number 2 heading. Scientists suggest U.S. embassies were hit with high-powered
Pennsylvania
waves. Here's how the weapons work. The technology behind the suspected weapons is well understood and dates back to the Cold War arms race between U.S. and the Soviet Union. This is from December 14, 2020. The mystery element that has afflicted U.S. Embassy staff and CIA officers off and on over the last 4 years in Cuba, China, Russia, and other countries appears to have been caused by high power microwaves, according to a report released by the National Academies. A committee of 19 experts in medicine and other fields concluded that directed pulsed radio frequency energy is the most plausible mechanism to explain the illnesses dubbed Havana syndrome. Now, I covered this last year on my HardNews TV channel that got pulled down, but this is from July 7th, 2019. The city of Philadelphia is attacked for using sonic weapons in a public park to keep kids away from the parks. City officials in Philadelphia are under attack for increasing use of acoustic deterrent, described by a local councilwoman as a sonic weapon to keep the city's children and young adults away from certain recreational areas at night. The mosquito, invented in the UK back in 2005, is described by the product's Canada-based North American distributor as a small speaker that produces a high-frequency sound, much like the buzzing of an insect. This high frequency can be heard by young people 13 to 25 years old and reaches as far as 130 feet, depending on the volume set. Hearing deteriorates with age, so older people can't hear the high frequencies. Okay, so this is like a weapon, a tormenting weapon. Okay, so they're using that in public parks. They're saying that governments use directed energy to affect people, and now we've got 3 Republican lawmakers within 4 or 5 days of each other, all dying of complications with the virus. I'm just saying, keep your mind open and consider all possibilities. Let's go to article number 3. Now, I covered this yesterday in one of my top 10. I might have even made a separate video on it about the detention centers, the COVID detention centers, the COVID camps to pick you up. Well, this article has a little more details in it that I wanted to cover. New York State Democrat lawmaker proposes a bill to detain disease carriers. And remember, one of the things on the Georgia Guidestones is don't be a cancer on the earth. And now they're referring to us as disease carriers. The globalists are making their move to eradicate the cancers of the earth, the people that don't believe like them. And they think it is the age of Aquarius, and it's really Jesus Christ's words being fulfilled. But let's get into this article. The New York State Assembly proposed a bill to detain disease carriers the governor deems dangerous to the public health. That the governor deems dangerous, okay? Isn't it subjective? The bill was authored by N. Nick Perry, a Democrat member of the New York State Assembly. Bill A-416 relates to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases that are potentially dangerous to public health. The governor would have sweeping powers to indefinitely detain American citizens and put them in internment camps. And remember, we did the video on the Canadian lawmaker asking why they were building internment camps for COVID in Canada, and he got laughed at on the House floor. According to the proposed bill, the governor will also be able to detain people who have come in contact with the carrier. So, what if you're asymptomatic? You're not showing any signs of having it, but they're going to just falsely say that you had the virus. Then they might want to pick up anybody that you're associated with. You're having the COVID, air quotation marks, is because you are a political enemy. Okay, this is like communist countries that will pick up their political enemies, go through your phone, see who your contacts are, and pick them up too. The only way an individual would be released from detainment is if the department determines the person is no longer contagious or no longer a threat, or go into like Chinese internment camps and never come out, like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can't ever leave. And let me show you something frightening in this, okay? Upon determining by clear and convincing evidence that the health of others is or may be endangered by a case, contact, or carrier, or suspected case, you haven't even been confirmed. In the opinion of the governor, after consultation with the commissioner, may pose an imminent and significant threat to the public health, resulting in severe morbidity or high mortality, the governor and or his or her delegee, including but not limited to the commissioner, may order the removal. Now look at this. Detention of such a person or group of such persons by issuing a single order identifying such persons either by name or by a reasonably specific description of the individual. Now, don't they say in the criminal justice system that the least reliable way to identify a suspect is by a witness account? But you can be picked up by a reasonable description of you. Wow. Y'all, I just have screen capture on my phone, on my computer. So sometimes when I try to record off of it, it does have a distorted sound to it. If this does not play right, I'm leaving y'all the link to go look at it. But this is that Canadian lawmaker on their House floor, basically, questioning why their government is building internment camps for COVID people. And that's the same thing New York is proposing. Now listen to this. They laugh at this man over it.
In my supplemental question yesterday, I asked this government if the people of Ontario should prepare for internment camps. In September, the federal government posted a call for expressions of interest for contractors to supply, provide, and manage quarantine isolation camps throughout every province and every territory in Canada. These quarantine isolation camps, however, are not limited to people with COVID, but provide a wide latitude for many people to be detained. Surely this government is aware of the intentions to build these isolation camps from coast to coast. And my question to the Premier is, how many of these camps will be built? And how many people does this government expect to detain?
Question. Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is very true that when people leave the country and when they come back in, that the province is suggesting, and the federal government, in cooperation with the federal government, we are suggesting that people isolate themselves. That has been a practice that has been very successful, not only here in the province of Ontario, but across Canada. And we will, of course, be redoubling our efforts to make sure that the people of the province of Ontario remain safe, Mr. Speaker. So if the member is referring to the fact that that one of the public health policies is that when you return from a jurisdiction outside of the province of Ontario or from another country, that you isolate yourself for 2 weeks, I would suggest that has been a good policy that has been working. In fact, this House has been doing the same thing since we came back. We are working in cohorts to make sure that the Legislative Assembly can continue to operate. That's why we have two separate cohorts, Mr. Speaker.
Response.
And with the cooperation of the official opposition, that is why all members of the Independents have been excluded from that cohort, because we want them to be able to participate in debate. So we'll continue to do everything in our power to make sure that this House continues, but that the people of the province of Ontario and Canada are kept safe.
Supplementary question.
Again, back to the Premier. Here's the RFP, and in the RFP it uses clear language to express that these camps can be used for a broad spectrum of people, not limited to travellers. Indeed, it doesn't even mention international travellers. It's just a broad latitude of people. And I'll send over the copy of the RFP after. So your government must be in negotiations and aware of these plans to potentially detain and isolate citizens and residents of our country and our province. So, Speaker, to the Premier, where will these camps be built? How many people will be detained? And for what reasons?
Question.
For what reasons can people be kept in these isolation camps? And I'd like to have the Premier assure the people of Ontario.
Member, take a seat.
So they laugh at him and tell him to sit down, okay? And he's talking about how long can they be held in these detention camps. Just like now New York is proposing that the governor can hold American citizens indefinitely. There's going to be camps in every country to pick up the resistors. This article number 3, is from January 2nd from Breitbart. Los Angeles Superspreader Task Force detains at least 900 at New Year's Eve's parties. 900 people. The Los Angeles County Superspreader Task Force, and y'all, why I don't like this word superspreader, that's how they're going to start picking people up. Superspreader. They even have a task force, okay? Detained at least 900 people after shutting down 5 New Year Eve parties. So if you go to church, the Superspreader Task Force is going to show up. The task force has also arrested or issued 90 citations and recovered at least 6 guns at the parties. And then look, let me go down and show you this. Now this is hilarious. The sheriff department showed up in the middle of the party, warning the crowd via loudspeaker. This is the LA County Sheriff's Department. This super spreader party is now over. Anybody who refuses to leave will be subject to arrest. Oh, they didn't pick them up or tell them that they had to be quarantined. They just told them, y'all got to get on out of here or we're going to arrest y'all. The crackdown on the super spreader events in the country comes as it reports an increase in the virus cases. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has arrested 235 people in December in connection with super spreader events. Now remember when I told y'all that they were all emptying the jails because they didn't want the people in the jails to get the virus? But then if you disobey their rules, they don't care about throwing you in the jail to expose you to anything. They emptied the jails and the prisons for you and me. Now let's go to article number 5. This article is from January 2nd. Dramatic video shows an unmasked Canadian cops bust up illegal gathering of family during New Year's. Busting up families meeting. Unmasked police busted an illegal family gathering December 31st. Y'all, they don't even want you now. The government does not even want you with family. And it's a crime. It is illegal to be with your family. Service Day Police, I don't know how to say it, received an anonymous complaint from a neighbor The snitches. When police arrived at the home, they discovered the homeowner lied about the number of occupants inside, as public health orders in the metro area have placed limits on gatherings. The police noticed a number of vehicles parked in the driveway of the home and loud noise coming from inside. They figured there were more than 2 people inside, despite the homeowner insisting otherwise. So now the police busting up you being around your family, your God-given family. Now the oppressive government is coming to your house telling you you can't be around your family. Detention camps are waiting. Article number 6. If you have children, please pay attention to this. My throat is sore from all the talking I've been doing. Police keep a secret list of kids with bad grades, labeling them potential criminals. This is like Minority Report, profiling your children for pre-crime. Okay? In the land of the free, we're told that all people are presumed innocent until proven guilty by their peers. To those who've been paying attention, however, we know that innocent until proven guilty is a farce in today's police state. If you doubt this assertion, you need only look at the data to see that a whopping 74% of people in jails across this country have not been convicted of a crime. Okay, now let's see this. The Pasco Sheriff's Office has a secret list of students it believes could fall into a life of crime based on ridiculous standards like their grades. So they're setting your kid up to fail if they might have a learning disability. Tom Cruise was dyslexic. If your kid is in special ed and not doing good in special ed, they could label your kid a potential criminal and be on the sheriff's list. By these standards, people like Thomas Edison, what about Albert Einstein? Okay? He was not a very good student. By these standards, people like Thomas Edison, one of the most successful inventors in human history, could have been labeled a criminal after he was kicked out of school at age 12 for being poor at math and unable to concentrate. Steven Spielberg, the famous movie producer, may have been labeled a criminal as well after he temporarily dropped out of high school only to return to be put in special ed classes. Bill Gates didn't graduate college. Okay, so now they are making a list and checking it twice and calling your child a criminal if he's not the smartest kid in the class. Article number 7. I know I'm going long, y'all, but these you need to see. This is from January 1st. Black Panther radicalist seeks race offender registry in order to dox conservatives. So this is crazy. Crazy registry proposed. The registry would consist of a national database of any person accused. So your nosy neighbors that's calling the police on you, having your family come get busted up, your nosy neighbor can just say, oh, I think those people over there are racist. And you're going to get put on a list. And if you get put on a list, you won't be able to have a job. This agenda would also make it to where those who were accused could not get certain jobs and could not live near people of color. What if you have a coworker that just don't like you? Going to make up a story on you and get you put on a list and you can't have a job. And they said they want it to be like a national sex offender registry. The 26-year-old Johnson said that the race registry would be a lot like sex offender registries, which would also include a category of microaggressions. Y'all, this is getting crazy. It says, so in theory, if a person of color accuses a white person of anything, or if a white person accuses a white person, then the white person could face having their lives ruined even if nothing happened. Let's go to article number 8. This article is from yesterday from Bloomberg. Venezuela's Maduro plans shift to fully digitalized economy. Venezuela's government is planning to move to a fully digital economy as hyperinflation has made worthless boulevard notes particularly disappear and dollarization expands through the local financial system. So we're seeing their economy collapse because of hyperinflation, and it could very easily be here pretty soon. The U.S. dollar has operated as an escape valve for Venezuela amid U.S. sanctions and collapsing oil revenues. President Maduro said in a televised interview with Telesur on Friday. It says, "We have a war. They have a war against our physical currency. We are moving this year to a more profound digital economy in expansion. I've set the goal of an economy that's 100% digital," Maduro, adding that physical money will eventually disappear. He says 18% of all commercial transactions are in dollars. And look at what's happening in China. So this is from December 28, 2020, from South China Morning Post. How China's digital currency will thwart U.S. dollar trap and help the world. So Venezuela wants to get out of dealing with the dollar. Now China's wanting to get out of dealing with the dollar. So let me scroll down. So China's saying that they don't want to get caught in the dollar trap. Over the years, the U.S. has enjoyed the dollar exorbitant privilege of almost unlimited money printing or quantitative easing in central bank parlance, as former U.S. President Richard Nixon's Treasury Secretary John Connally famously said, "The dollar is our currency, but it's your problem." So they don't want to compete with the dollar. This article is from December 4th, 2020 from CNN Business. China wants to weaponize its currency. A digital version could help. So they're moving towards their digital dollar. Venezuela's going digital. I heard India's going cashless. They're going to digital. This article is from the BBC from September 24th. One day, everyone will use China's digital currency. Let's go to article number 9. Article number 9 is from the Telegraph from yesterday. The vaccine rollout needs a stronger sense of national urgency. If the UK was going flat out to vaccinate as many people as possible, as fast as possible, in a manner, I'm not subscribed, but it was saying all the radical things they need to do. I'm going to leave y'all the link to this because I read it on my phone, but now it's done put me over my limit. But it was saying all of the radical ideas that they're going to have to do to make it successful. Let's go to article number 10. This article is from October 20th, 2020. Mandatory vaccinations are required in only half of all countries. So these last two articles are about the world needs to get serious about this. Achieving and maintaining high vaccination coverage globally is critical. Okay, so I think this year we're going to see a lot more mandatory everything. So, quick recap. This journalist wants to find conservative Christians and beat their ass and beat them to death, which is laughable. We've got suspicious deaths of Republican congressmen. weapons that are being used on people, directed energy weapons, even acoustic weapons in public places in America, indefinite detention, Superspreader task force detaining people, arresting people. And I forgot to mention in this about the Canadian cops showing up at the complaint of an anonymous neighbor. The people that were there, everyone in the home was given a $1,500 fine for ignoring public safety health orders against gatherings. The police received a total of 30 complaints that night. So we're going to see people like this getting picked up and the super spreaders and taken to these detainment camps indefinitely. Police labeling your child a potential criminal and on a watch list from childhood because of their grade, a national racist database, digital currency that's coming, and mandated national vaccines. Y'all please leave me your comments below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.